very good. And I do want to let you know that our chief of police was the one that we did ask to come and speak, but he always is at a state convention this week over in the Dells. I forgot that again. And we always have it on this week. So instead of that, we asked if we could have some of our officers, and Officer Diedrich, who handles one of our canine officers, they are here today, so give them a round of applause. And we're glad, this is Sirius, right? Is this Sirius? Okay. We're glad to have Sirius with us. He's been enjoying his little Kong back there while we were busy. And I'm going to turn this over to Officer Diedrich to tell us a little bit about what's going on. If you could just attach that somewhere to all the other things you have.
Sure, why not?
Talk into that one also. That's for the recording. That's
Okay.
Thank you.
All these responsibilities I got to try to remember. So to start this off, probably in the best way I can, has everybody met Chief Renz? So to get that visualization in your head, right about now he's going down a water slide in his Speedo. And I can say that because he's only going to be around for 2 more months. I have had the pleasure, though, because now this is my 20th year at Muskego Police Department. I've had the pleasure of working with him for all 20 years. And almost 18, he's been a boss of mine in one form or another. So it's been a pleasure to work for him. It's going to be weird not having him around, having worked with somebody for that long. Part of that weirdness comes in is, like I said, I have 20 years at the police department, which means there's a light at the end of the tunnel for this guy too. And that's weird to me because it just doesn't comprehend. And if you're driving around the city and you see some of our replacement officers that we've hired over these last few years, I promise they're not 12. I promise they're not. Okay? But they look like they're 12. Man, I don't know that I ever looked that young, but maybe. So most of our patrol staff right now is easily under 28. There might be a couple here and there that are closing on 30, but most of them are under 28. So that's a good thing, all right? And I say that's a good thing because in police work, it's a lot of getting to know your coworkers and having to work in high stressful situations. And when they all come in together and they all get to go through some of the similar experiences together and see some of the same things together, there'll be a closer knit group, which in turn provides everybody in the city a better service because they don't have to have all these other things going around in their head. They know that they can, hey, I worked with Jim. Jim, I know, is going to do this, and I know Chelsea's going to do this. So that it's one less thing to take off their plate so they can provide a better service to you for that. So has everybody been through the new police department? Now, I don't know if you're allowed to go into the old police department, but having gone through that, you go to the old police department now, it's night and day. Now that there isn't somebody in there 24 hours a day taking care of it, we do some trainings over there, and every once in a while go through the building and check on it. And all the little things, there's water seeping through the basement. We always used to tell them, there's water in the basement, there's water in the basement. Yeah, you go in the basement now and all the paint is bubbling off the walls. So this was much needed, and there are other jurisdictions that come now and help us out and come here and they look at what we have and they're jealous. And that's a good place to be. That's a good place to be. And we thank the city for giving us that building to allow us to do our job better, and not only better, but safer. In our other building, we didn't have a sally port before. We took prisoners in and out of cars in the garage and, walking them down hallways. Now we have secure sally ports to do that in, and that's a much safer environment for everybody, The other guy that was supposed to be here, do you guys know Jeff Sartorius? Probably a lot. You see him in his emails. Some of you listen to him on the radio. I don't. I see him enough at work. I don't need to hear him on the radio. he was going to be here. He had a little mishap, so he's at home right at the moment, recovering. So he's been a breath of fresh air. The ideas that he has come to get community involvement to make sure that we're involved with all our businesses and all our citizens and keeping it relatively light, I hope. I don't know, his little newsletter sometimes. So he's been a blessing for that for us, and I think he's going to be in that position for a long time to come because he does such a great job. If you don't know, we have 3 school resource officers, which is a little bit of an anomaly when we only have 1 high school. Most jurisdictions only have police officers in the high schools. Us having officers in the middle schools allows us to start to create that relationship with not only the students, but with their families moving forward to better assist them as they move through the school system and beyond the school system. I worked in the schools for 3 years, and there are still houses I go to, and I, remember the kid that went to school, remember their parents, remember their siblings, what they did for a living, and it's a great background to have when we're going to help somebody in a time of need. So we won't tell you how old some of the school resource officers are, but there might be a change in the next couple of years in that also. So look for some new faces there. What else do we have? We have our detective bureau, which also includes our drug officer, who's now up at the Metro Drug Unit full-time. He, unfortunately or fortunately, has been doing some business in the city, trying to get things cleaned up, and we've been making some headway with that. If you don't know, Detective Westfall is our senior detective. He cleared up a cold case that was decades old not too long ago. So as active as they are on the new stuff coming in, they're still looking at the stuff that is unsolved in our past, trying to give families closure with that. Myself, this is Sirius. Sirius will be 9 shortly. Within about a month, he will turn 9. He was our first canine that we had. He's enjoying his Kong this morning, which is a good thing because he'll leave your plates alone then. So we're looking probably maybe the end of this year into next spring. I think we're going to be looking at retirement. So I would probably not want to work him any longer than 10, but we'll see. We have a new one, Obi. Have some of you met Obi? All right. This is the old man. He's got the gray, a little slower, a little laid back. Obi is not the old man. That is a puppy through and through. He just turned 2 in December. He has a lot of drive. He is very friendly. But just remember, he's got a lot of drive. He will want to come say hi. And, he's a great dog. Shortly after we had first gotten him, we had a woman who fled from us in a car and then on foot. And that dog was on it like nobody's business, coming right out of school. It was great to see because usually there's a little bit of lag time, a little bit of bonding and trusting between the officer and the handler that go on. But that dog was all about working, and I think that dog would track somebody for miles if you'd let him. So you'll see Officer Sundstrom, who was now working second shift. He and Obi are driving around. I believe he might even be working tonight. So look for him. I think I wrote some other notes to make sure I didn't forget anything, and then see if you had any questions, because usually that's where everybody's got questions. I know I was asked briefly when I first got here, how have things been? Standard question, and it's like, well, depends what you mean by how's it been. I will tell you, in my 20 years here, the quantity of crime and calls for service have decreased. And I think, as the mayor alluded to, it's probably been, give or take a couple years. I want to say over the last 10 years, we've been voted, third safest city, fifth safest city, first safest city. Every year it's something. So we're headed the right direction. Some of the things you see on TV are as serious as what goes on, and we don't really get a lot of that out here. Every once in a while, it's going to find its way no matter where you are. No place is safe anymore. I was just down in St. Louis over the weekend for a volleyball tournament. Holy crap. My word. We went out to eat Pappy's Smokehouse, if you ever go there. Best barbecue in the country, voted year in and year out. We're driving back, and I'm trying to figure out what's in the street. Now, they have a problem with drag racing. I understand Muskego, St. Louis, not quite the same, but they have concrete barriers in the streets. All of a sudden, it's the middle lane that's open. Then it's the left lane. Then it's the right lane. And you're doing this because of drag racing. And then I see this stuff laying in the street, and I look up, and the windows are knocked out of their jail, and guys are chucking stuff out the window. And it's just like, oh my goodness. We don't have that here. And I think most of that is never going to find its way here. But know that all of us find it a challenge, I guess, because, as police officers, we're not wired quite the same. So for us, that's the challenge, is to keep you guys safe. And there's also some pride in that. So when we know we're doing a good job, and nothing's better when we're super busy at night, because I work thirds usually, and we're super busy, and you can turn on the news the next day, and you hear nothing about Muskego. Perfect. That's the way we want it. That's the way we want it. So just know that we're always going to be putting that level of service out there for you. We're always going to be challenging ourselves with new ideas, new methods. If there's something that you have that you've heard of that you say, well, this police department's doing this, you want to bring it to our, best to bring it to our command staff, because that's usually where the trickle down starts, and present these ideas of something new that we can do, another level of service, something different. We're all for it. We want that challenge to make things better for not only the citizens, but our businesses in the community. So with that said, any questions? Yes, sir. Yeah, and with test corners now staffing during the day and us, it's always that response time, right? That's how we're going to, when you look at how do you quantitatively measure first responders, it's always about response time. It's one of the first things people look at. So our response time, because we designate the city into 3 different areas, and every night one person gets assigned to an area. So you shouldn't be more than a couple minutes away from somebody responding to you should you call. With that caveat said, if we're stuck on an accident down on 36 and 45 and you call about something at Racine and Hillendale, it's going to take us a minute to get there. Even driving faster, it's going to take us a little bit to get there. We got this big lake in the middle. I don't know if you noticed. It kind of throws a wrench into our direction of travel. But we continue our training now. We just, half the department just went through some recertification for our CPR stuff now. Next year we'll do the next half. And so we have that level of service that we're going to provide. Should you call us with any Somebody's got sausage on their plate yet. He's eyeing it up. So do you need that level of service from us? So any other questions? Nothing? An easy crowd? Cameras. I know they're an expense. but they're also relatively inexpensive, right? Um, Jeff Sartorius will keep logs of which businesses, which homes have those resources. So not only can we look at those should something happen, but you can also look into them remotely. A slight frustration from time to time is we'll go around and make sure businesses are safe and secure. And you pull a door and the door's open, and it's like, okay, so we'll go make sure nobody's inside. But then I have no idea what your business normally looks like. You know, for those of you that deal in cash, do you leave your cash drawers open? Do you leave them closed? So it's nice to have the cameras, the key holders, the contact information so we can get a hold of somebody, if nothing else, just to say, hey, your cash drawers are open and the back office door is open. Is that something you guys normally do? Yes, fine. We'll lock everything back up and, we'll call it a day. If it's no, then we know that we have to start taking our next steps. And that's important because we would rather start looking for something or someone when we find something rather than 6 hours after we find something, because then we're behind the 8 ball a little bit. And he likes to find people. He likes to chew on his gong too, but I know. But he likes to find people, so if I can use him to go find somebody that was in your business, that'd be great. Maybe not for the guy that we got to find, but whatever. So just make sure we keep up to that. And I know sometimes the department should be hounding you, making sure that information is up to date. It helps us out quite a bit on our end. So. There should be. There was. It should still be there. I believe Sergeant Fonz usually keeps it active. For yeah, and Chase Bank had their ATM removed. Well, attempted to be removed. Obviously, we know most banks have cameras. They had a camera there, which subsequently ended up leading to the arrest of 2 of the subjects involved in Ohio. So that was very beneficial. There seems to be a couple nomadic groups traveling around. One of them's trying to do some of the ATM stuff. They don't stay in one place very long. And the other one is catalytic converters. We could have a test and see who knows what a catalytic converter is, but more or less it's something underneath your car in the muffler exhaust system. It's worth a lot of money to the scrap yards, okay? So anybody here drive a Prius? Nobody wants to admit that they drive a Prius? Okay. If you know anybody who drives a Prius, those are worth the most amount of money. And yeah, they're big money. We're having a huge problem with the catalytic converters being stolen. We didn't have it stolen here, but we actually caught one of the guys was going to go into Al's. One of our officers saw him, said that's not right. They ended up stopping him. One thing led to another. He got arrested. So usually how they do that is they'll take a Sawzall or some other type of saw and get underneath and just cut them right out, and boom, they're gone. It doesn't take them very long at all. So even the little things, should you have tools around your business or around your house, and all of a sudden, hey, my Sawzall's missing, my drills are missing, my toolbox is missing. That's important. That's good stuff for us to know. We can try to run those tools down, but it also, depending on what was taken, can help us start looking, okay, Ed my Sawzall's taken, now we got to start looking for people crawling underneath cars and whatnot. So that's good information. The more information we have, the better we can do our jobs. So that's what we're always looking for. Anything else? No? Mm-hmm. We appreciate it. And that's, when we talk about that contract that's going to come up. Yeah, yeah, by this guy who's not doing that anymore. So, but when you talk about, and it's always an expense. It's one of the city's biggest expenses is that building and the people in it over there. But our biggest challenge is trying to get these younger officers that are qualified, that are really, really good, is to get them in the door and get them to stay. And we want to provide that level of service. We want to be able to do that in having quality contracts like we've gotten in the past, and I'm sure we'll get in the future, will help us retain those good officers so we can continue to provide that level of service. So it's very important, and that, just goes to that culture of what we want to do and what we're about. You got something to say? Anything else? Yes, sir. So, I think our drone is coming. I don't know that it's here yet, but there's we have the daytime one, more or less, lack of a better term. The night of the Mayfair shooting, where they had the kid that was actually shooting at one person, but then hit a bunch of other people, and they shut it down. There was a pursuit that night that came and ended in New Berlin. I don't know how many people know that. Shortly after everything was getting shut down, the pursuit came through, almost came into Muskego. He just decided to go through around a second time and go north in the roundabout, because nobody knows how to do the roundabouts, so thank goodness for that, right? So he ends up in the subdivision just to the west of Target, ends up crashing the car into the house. The car starts on fire. Everybody runs. They bring out their drones. Now, I couldn't go because I had to be in charge. But I sat on College Avenue just staring, hoping that somebody'd come running across the freeway. But you could see the drones flying up overhead, and they had their dogs out. So the dogs would track, and the drones would fly ahead. And because they could see, the heat signatures, they were, oh, he's over there. And so they knew the canine was on. And then when the canine got close enough, they could either get the guy to surrender, or if he didn't give up, he got plan B. One of the guys got plan B. So it's very beneficial, especially, we talk about not as much land around here anymore, but there's still some pretty thick wooded pockets floating around that when you get into a drone, getting up above is great, So I look forward to having it, and it's, especially with the dog and the drones working together, it's outstanding. Yes, ma'am. A few months ago? Yes. Yeah, and was going into Racine County and stuff? Yeah, he is in jail. His wife and his friend. So, Valentine's Day is coming up, gentlemen. Make sure you get your wife something nice. Yes, sir. I don't. I believe they're going to try to start picking it back up. So we've tried to adapt that Citizens Academy every year, and as anybody who's gone in recently knows that we went and did the Milo, the more or less the gaming kind of shoot scenarios, and they've been taking them up to the track at WCTC. They've been doing stuff up there. Well, WCTC shut down for a while, and so not having that facility and being able to provide that, it's been kind of just a holding pattern to get those done. So I believe that's still going to pick up again. I'm not sure if he's going to do the spring-fall classes like he did in the past, or if he's going to do just the one. That's to be determined yet. So. That's it. All right. Thank you. Enjoy your day. Hey.
That's not it. Thank you so much. We appreciate all the information, and it was enjoyable to watch how much he likes that Kong. He's a good dog. Yes, he is. And he's served us well, hasn't he? I do want to announce that for our gala, which is 1 month away, we have chosen, our board of directors, to honor our hometown heroes, who happen to be our police, fires, and EMTs at that gala. And I think that is a wonderful thing after what they've all worked through this last year and how they've helped us so much. Excuse me. So I'm putting the plug in here. If you want to be there, you need to register soon so that we get your dinner and your information in. And if you and your business would like to help us to sponsor our honored guests, we'd like to have several tables worth of the Muskego, Big Bend, Wind Lake, and Town of Norway fire department and police people coming. I've got the got the invitations out. We're just waiting to see who can be here, because obviously some of them still have to be on call. But we would love to honor them, recognize them with a couple of awards from the business community for what they have done for us. So I hope you would get involved in that and maybe suggest to others that you know if they'd like to get involved in the sponsoring of it and also being a part of that evening, because we'd love to have everyone, as many as can be there with us that night. With that being said, is there any other questions that didn't get asked that we want to bring out real quick? All right. Well, then thank you so much for being here. Another one of these State of the Cities is done. This is always my initial event for the year. So off we go to the whole year 2021, and let's make it a good year, hey? Okay, have a nice one.
Just quickly, I love our local businesses, and if any of you would like to come through for a tour, I would love to see your operation. So just call my office or email me at any time.
That's cool.
I'll also give you a plug on Facebook. I got a couple followers, 1 or 2 people that follow me, so put that on there, and I'd love to get out and see the intricacies of all your successful ventures that are going on out there. So feel free to reach out on that. Or you may just find me showing up at your doorstep. I do that once in a while too. So.
Thank you. Have a great day.